as we chug along every day in this space, we continue to see the lines between traditional finance and crypto infrastructure continue to blur. This week, we have been seeing a high interest in institutional and RWA tokenization. We see layer ones, and we see the adoption, the increase in adoption, and government entities continue to embrace cryptocurrencies and embrace the idea of tokenization, and overall ladder in and continue to stack Bitcoin. This is bullish for us. We're in the right place. Do we remain below 100,000? Do we remain above 100,000 for the time being, or we continue to consolidate from here? Or are we going higher? Or we are going to retest the support that we have around 100,000, 99,000 thereabouts? These are the questions we'll be asking, and we'll be looking into this video so that we are best positioned to make money from the volatility in this space and for us not to lose money. My name is OP. I'm a prop trader from HashEdge, and I'm here showing up every day to give you an update of market and technical analysis of the overall crypto market space so we make money in this space. That's why we're here. We're here to make money. And you are here on this channel following me every day. Please like and subscribe to this video so that you stay on top of these videos and you can be ahead of the market and ahead of the dumb money, and you position yourself as a smart money. Let's just jump right straight into the content of this video that we have for you today. Immediately, we'll be looking at Coinbase CEO, which I reported yesterday because Coinbase has just joined the S&P 500, and his sentiment and his statement is just very simple. Crypto is here to stay, and it's going to be part of everyone's 401k, which is pretty much retirement and retirement savings in America, and this is just going to reverberate all over the world. Let's just listen to his short statement.
For you guys on the S&P 500, is that going to change your outlook at all, or the impact that Coinbase has?
Well, we're very happy to be included in the S&P 500. It now means that crypto is here to stay. It's going to be a part of everybody's 401k. It's a testament to the hard work of our employees and our investors, and it's a big appreciation to our customers too that helped us get to be one of the most trusted companies in America, and so we couldn't be happier.
Thank you so much.
So we see this is happening. He calls on continue to
Hey y'all, I'm here in DC today trying to help get legislation passed for crypto. There's a big vote for the stablecoin bill coming up hopefully tomorrow. That's going to be a big important one, and then we're going to move on to market structure legislation, which is even more important. We've been meeting with members of the Senate on both sides of the House, and there's a lot of good excitement about getting this done. Like any good negotiation, there's a lot of details to work out at the last minute, but we've been stressing the urgency of this. There's 52 million Americans who want to see this legislation get passed, and we need to make sure the industry stays on shore here in America. It's also Stand With Crypto Day. Stand With Crypto invited over 60 founders to come meet with their elected representatives to underscore this message as well. So fingers crossed, it's an exciting historic moment. Let's see if we can get some legislation passed.
So yeah, Coinbase simultaneously just getting into S&P 500 is also pushing for legislation, stablecoin legislation, and legislation pretty much in the overall space to be passed and to be, pro crypto stance. So all these guys are doing, definitely they are doing a lot of lobbying effort. There's a lot of things also in the background that these guys are doing to make sure that we are here to stay. Crypto is here to stay, and crypto is pretty much the next finance rails that we are coming from traditional finance and going to the next chapter, or the next arm and the next frontier of financial rails of the whole global economy. Everything is going to be based on the blockchain, everything is going to be tokenized, everything, and all of this is going to run on crypto. So all these guys are just positioning themselves. Of course, it is very, very evident. You can tell that Coinbase is going to be a big bank in the near future, and Coinbase is just going to be one of the top banks, just as the way we speak about JPMorgan and Goldman Sachs, all those kind of big banks. Definitely, Coinbase is positioned to be the crypto champion in America. This is very clear and it's very evident with whatever you see and the way it's been positioning himself. So well done to Brian Armstrong for doing this. I give all my kudos to him, and I just push him on to continue to fight for crypto legislation and for all of us overall in this space. So we just move on to Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter, and he's just speaking on Bitcoin. Of course, a Bitcoin whale and a Bitcoin all of them, they are Bitcoin, only Bitcoin fanatics, that they don't believe in other crypto, other altcoins and the rest. Is saying that small businesses can be their own bank, and this is pushing the decentralized nature of Bitcoin, which is the whole point why Bitcoin was invented, for everybody to be able to be their own bank, and everybody not to custody their assets with a third party first of all, and everyone to have full control of their assets and do with what they don't need permission. It's permissionless. They don't need permission from anyone. They have everything is transparent, everything is on chain, everything is custodied by them, and they control their assets. This is why Bitcoin was invented, and this is the opportunity that all of this gives us. Of course, we understand that in this world, a majority of people might not like that. That is also fine, but this is the reason why Bitcoin was invented, and for those who this appeals to should go ahead and take it on. And for businesses, is a good opportunity for businesses to be able to self-custody their assets and be their own bank in that sense. Then we also see the White House digital assets chief saying that Wall Street is ready to adopt Bitcoin. Of course, we have been reporting this for weeks, and we see that one by one from different institutional investors, institutional funds. We see banks, we see public companies, private companies also. We see billionaires, we see name it, government entities. All of them are already adopting Bitcoin, and all of them, just like what Brian Armstrong is trying to do at the Congress, they are waiting for legislation to be passed so that they have, because once the legislation is passed, it will give them smooth entry. All these guys, they will come in droves. In fact, by the time they come in droves, it will drive the demand will be so high that the price of Bitcoin will skyrocket like we have never seen before. And we are early guys for this. We are here speaking to you while Bitcoin is at what? $102,000. People are speculating by end of year it's going to be 250. Some are saying 700, like BlackRock. We don't know, but let's just get into his video.
I think that they've come together and pulled this bill to a place to where we actually get to the best outcome. And our colleagues up on the Hill recognize how important this is to the United States of America and the world more generally. And we're talking about updating very archaic payment rails that have existed for quite some time. We're talking about creating a world in which payments are much more expeditious with instant settlement times, much more cost effective, and much more transparent. This should be extremely nonpartisan in nature. And that's, a lot of the frustration that the American people have, especially, is when issues like this arise, where we're dealing with something that we should be able to come together on and push forward, because it's to the benefit of all Americans. There's really nothing partisan about it. My challenge to my colleagues on the Republican side and the Democratic colleagues over the course of the next couple of days is, let's get this thing home. It's time. The traditional financial players are ready for adoption. We're ready to integrate these technologies, and we're ready to revolutionize the way in which our financial marketplace works. I think that
let's get this thing home, pretty much. The old TradFi method, archaic, rusty, slow, centralized, not transparent, opaque, is done with. It's over and it's done with. We need to change to the new system that is decentralized, transparent, open and easy, very cheap for crypto payment rails. This is where we are. Then we see institutions getting red, and they are coming in droves, and we see they are using, like JPMorgan is using Ondo and Chainlink as a clear signal that, and this is a clear signal that big banks are serious about using public chain settlement rails and they are ready to do DeFi on chain. This and all this is from tokenizing US Treasury bonds. And we are seeing tokenization of real estate. We are seeing tokenization of securities. We're seeing tokenization of pretty much everything. This is definitely here. And these two banks are giving us the signal that all these big banks are ready for all of this. You see another publicly traded company based in the UK is raising funds to acquire 2 million in Bitcoin assets. What do you see this? All these guys are here. Another international group, international fund, investment fund, is disclosing holding 291 million in Bitcoin ETFs. Guys, this is what I've been saying. One by one, all these companies will start to announce that they have been holding Bitcoin long ago because they have been accumulating, but because legislation has not been out there to make them publicly announce and clarify that they have positions in the Bitcoin and in the crypto system. You also see Billionaire, the Mexican one, I think the biggest, the richest man in Mexico, Ricardo Salinas, is disclosing his personal portfolio. Of course, we've always known he was a Bitcoin bull, and he's saying he has 70% Bitcoin related exposure. Let's just listen to what he's saying.
My personal portfolio, the one that I manage myself and that I get to call in what asset I'm going to allocate to, yeah, I'm pretty much all in. I got about 70% in Bitcoin related exposure and 30% in gold and gold miners exposure. So 70-30. That's it. I don't have a single bond and I don't have any other stocks except my own.
Right. So on Bitcoin, I mean, I think we're down about 20% since the Trump inauguration after a big rally post-election. So buy the dip or wait?
Bitcoin, you have to think 10 years and buy everything that you can. It's not going to go anywhere except up because the dynamics are such. It's the hardest asset in the world. There's only 21 million of those tokens, and 20 have been distributed and mined already. So there's going to be 1 million more from here to 2040, I think, 2140. So it's the hardest asset. Not even gold is this hard. You know, gold gets inflated at about 3% a year through additional production from mines. Bitcoin doesn't. So yeah, it will go up and down, and there'll be speculative frenzies, and people will talk about it. But what most people should do is average dollar cost average, which is, you know, have a program where you can buy so much per month and you buy every month, and that will take the uncertainty away.
Bitcoin is the hardest asset in the world. This is the billionaire saying this, and he has 70% Bitcoin related exposure, and he has 30% in gold. He said, of course, there will be volatility, and people will try to speculate when it goes up and down. But eventually, looking at the bigger picture from the macro view, is going up. The volatility is what we as traders are here to take advantage of. And just looking at speculation, which is always abound every time, you know, every time we always see speculation, we just try to show us so that it just, you know, increases our conviction while we are here. And we see the Bitwise CIO, Chief Investment Officer, Matt Hogan, saying that Bitcoin will eclipse 200,000 by the end of 2025. Bullish.
Our prediction is that Bitcoin is going to get over $200,000 by the end of the year. What's happening right now is you have a huge amount of good news in Bitcoin. You have a U.S. strategic reserve where the government now owns Bitcoin. You have improvements on the regulatory front. You have institutional adoption. You may be wondering, why aren't prices higher? The reason is we've had a bunch of economic uncertainty that's caused not just Bitcoin, but all risky assets to fall. Stocks are down substantially. So the market has dipped. But I think over time, as that economic volatility subsides, you're going to see all that good news catch up to Bitcoin, and it's going to propel it to new all-time highs and indeed above $200,000 for the year.
What do we have to see? Like, is there a sign that we have to see for all that to happen?
Yeah, there are two things to keep your eye on. So one, Bitcoin's price is set by supply and demand, and we all know the supply, right? There'll only be 21 million. We only make 165,000 new ones a year. So you have to watch the demand. The three things to watch are ETFs gaining inflows, are corporations like MicroStrategy and Metaplanet continuing to buy Bitcoin, and our government's buying Bitcoin. If those three things happen, I think the $200,000 target is a lock. So I would keep your eye on that. It would help if the economy improves, if we don't enter a recession, that would help. But it's really about, does the demand materialize in the way I think it will? Every sign that I see suggests that ETFs are buying, corporations are buying, and governments are buying. That's why I'm so bullish, but they have to keep buying in order for us to get to that $200,000 target.
You said they keep on buying. At what scale are we talking?
Yeah, so last year ETFs bought 500,000 Bitcoin. Again, remember, the Bitcoin network only produced 165,000 Bitcoin. So it bought 3 times the total supply. Corporations bought 250,000 Bitcoin. Governments, I think this year could buy a couple 100,000 Bitcoin. So I think if you look at those 3 sources, I think they'll buy more than 1 million Bitcoin this year. And where is it going to come from? The only place it can come from is people who already hold Bitcoin. The only way they will sell is if the price goes up. That's why I'm so bullish on the market.
So he says 3 things that are quite interesting, that are the sources of Bitcoin going up, and the sources of people buying into Bitcoin: the ETFs, the governments, and the corporations. Those are the people going to be buying. And of course, like he said, it will eclipse $200,000. Sorry for the audio. The audio wasn't really good. It comes from the video itself, so I really cannot control that. I hope you are able to listen and listen to the point. And really, anyways, that's why I just gave a quick summary of what he said. And anyways, it's just speaking of a bullish sentiment that is going to eclipse and is going to continue in the near term to medium and long term. Now we go to the macro front. Everything is good, and we see Trump recently on his trip. I believe he was here in UAE yesterday. He first went to Saudi Arabia, then UAE, then he's going to Qatar, and I believe he has just been able to secure a $1.8 trillion investments, 1.2 from Qatar and 600 million from Saudi Arabia. And he was just speaking about it, and let's just listen to his speech.
Rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher. In fact, I told people 5 weeks ago, this is a great time to buy. I got criticized for that. Now they don't criticize me anymore. People should have listened. But it's going to go a lot higher. You're going to see, we've never had anything like this happen. It's an explosion of investment and jobs, and great companies are coming in. Never seen anything like it. Rising market will do.
So imagine we have the president on our side as a crypto fan. Like he says, I'm a big crypto fan, and we're leading China in crypto, and the market is going to go higher. Imagine the president of America, of the hegemon of the world, pumping our bags for us. It's the biggest KOL we have. From tariff cuts to rate cut hopes, bullish president, perfect storm for a crypto rally. Yes, I agree. It's a perfect storm for a crypto rally. We'll see dips here and there, like we are anticipating dip right now, because the price charts, when we get to the price charts, we'll look at that. But eventually, I'm looking at it and scaling out and looking at it from an overall picture, we are going higher. Then looking at Otto is, of course, one of the crypto big boys, OGs, in this space, well respected. He's a billionaire now, status. He's saying he writes I think monthly articles on Substack, which is quite interesting. I always take a read, which is quite informative, and a very dense document article that goes into nuances of crypto, macroeconomics, investment, financial literacy, and all of that. Very is something I would advise and tell everyone to get on board and start to read it. Although very dense, very long articles, but nonetheless productive, insightful, educative. I cannot say any bad word about it. But I just give you a summary of the article, which is titled "Fatty Fatty Boom Boom." Is arguing that capital controls will be used instead of tariffs to correct Pax Americanas imbalances. The effects on foreign assets ownership will drive Bitcoin to 1 million and beyond by 2028. This is what is predicting. And when you just go straight to, I'll just go to the conclusion. And he believes that Bitcoin, just because I believe Bitcoin is going to $1 million, doesn't mean there won't be opportunity to take tactical short position. Capital controls and money printing are coming, but the road from here to there is rocky. Team Trump is not all in on capital controls, and as such expects those who believe Trump should take the empire in a different direction to reassert themselves. Trump has no fixed ideology. He responds to constraints and zigzags his way towards the accomplishment of his goal. Therefore, the trend is your friend until it ain't. Literally, this is what he's telling us, and I just look for my own notes on his article, and pretty much what he's doing is just arguing and the whole point of the article talking about fatty boom boom is just pretty much arguing and using processed foods and the fat, the obesity nature in Americans crowd, in a lot of Americans, and using that as an analogy with the Federal Reserve's money printing since 1913, and which has fueled trade deficits and wealth inequality. With tariffs proving politically toxic, Otto Hayes predicts the Trump administration will pivot to capital controls, taxing foreign held US assets to curb the capital accounts surplus. This could weaken the dollar, drive foreign capital away, and force the Fed to print more money to prop up markets. As global financial markets fragment, Otto Hayes sees Bitcoin and gold as the ultimate safe havens, predicting Bitcoin could hit $1 million by 2028 due to capital flight and US Treasury devaluation. He also highlights crypto projects like Pendle and EtherFi as outperformers. And he also states this towards the last paragraph, talking about PendleFi and ETHFi as outperformers. And these are the two ones that is really, and Pendle is something a token on RWA, and EtherFi too. These are RWA tokenization bullish and tokenization position projects in that category. So this is all what it's saying, and I just summarized this whole fundamental and looking at the news, looking at adding, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but looking at his tweet, and he tells us to zoom out and looking at what we have on the macro front, and gives us a view of the whole space. And he says Bitcoin has already crossed the $100,000 mark, surpassing a critical psychological and technical threshold that often signals the onset of a more aggressive growth phase. On the macroeconomic front, geopolitical tensions, particularly around tariffs, are easing, creating a more favorable environment for global capital flows. Central banks are signaling a return to liquidity expansion, with increased monetary easing expected as early as June or July. At the moment, I am skewed towards a pause instead. Historically, such events have acted as strong catalysts for risk assets, and Bitcoin stands to benefit directly from this renewed liquidity injection. Institutional demand is also showing clear signs of acceleration. ETFs inflows are rising, and major financial institutions are expanding their exposure to digital assets. Pretty much echoing everything we're saying, and it's a good summary to end our crypto news and analysis on. So we just go right into the chart. We first look at Dogecoin, which is something we are bullish on in the long term, and look at what the chart is actually telling us and what is it doing and telling us. We are above the 200 EMA, and we look to be above that, and we have claimed support of the 200 EMAs. So we look to be in a very good position at about 23 cents. We look also to be consolidating at the moment. Looking at the RSI, we seem to be moving sideways. So we'll expect more sideways movement and consolidating around this before the price makes a move. So because we are expecting, I believe, Powell speeches today, we are also expecting the PPI, or I think the PPI is also economic number data is coming out today. So we'll be expecting all of this. Then again, something important that will be coming out today will be geopolitical risk. So we are expecting the Russia-Ukraine meeting that is happening today in, I believe, is in Turkey, no, in Switzerland, held by Turkey, I believe. As the broker. So we see all of this happening today. So that will also give us some insight into what price action might be doing in the near term. So this is what we'll be looking at, and of course we'll be seeing that all that happen in the charts, and we'll see that all of that happening in the chart. So we see that, and you look at just Dogecoin itself, the network is buzzing with activity, boasting over 127,000 active addresses. So you see this is happening for Dogecoin while the price is really not doing anything, but it's consolidating. So we expect that this consolidation, so this will be the right time for anyone that is not positioned and in Dogecoin to start to ladder in and to DCA into these positions, into good positions at this moment, because this is the time before upside and a bullish turn in the market. It might still consolidate and come back down. So we'll be looking for support around the 120 20 cents levels. if it breaks that support of the 200 MA, we should be looking at it retesting around the 2019 19 cents support. And once we do that, and once we get there, we confirm that support, we reclaim that support, then we'll be looking for another bullish upside on Dogecoin. Then just moving ahead to Ripple, XRP, you see like same thing similarly. We are moving sideways movements, consolidating for a further upside. So you see XRP is actually doing very, very phenomenal. You see a lot of bullish catalysts happening for XRP on the fundamental front. On looking at the RSI, we seem to be pointing downwards, just like every other chart right now, saying nothing really jumps out to us. Everything is pretty much sideways movement, consolidating at the moment, because of course the godfather of all of them, Bitcoin, is also doing the same thing. So that drags the whole market to mimic it in that sense. So we see this happening in the XRP, but these are times where by all of us as traders, we look into our positions, we start to build conviction into levels and positions where we might enter in case there's a drop down, or there's a confirmation of support, or a breakdown, or a breakout from resistance. So these are levels we'll be looking for. We're looking for confirmation signals. That's what we're looking for. So we are looking for confirmation signals so that we get our entry and we have positions and we build positions in all of this in anticipation of either a move up or to short the market if we are coming downwards. So we see this happening for XRP. So this is what we'll be looking at the price at $2.05 today. Looking at RSI, it looks to be pointing downward. So if it breaks the $2.05 support, we should be looking for a further retest of around $2.01, $2.02. So once we get to $2.01, $2.02, we should be reclaiming that as support. If we reclaim that as support, then we'll be long in the market to a further retest of the new resistance, which might be $2.05. So we'll be looking at XRP. We have a lot of fundamental bullish news for XRP at the moment. XRP is highlighting, and Ripple highlights the RLUSD, that's the stablecoin on the XRP ledger in tokenization, tokenizing real world assets. So you see this is happening on it. There's a seamless feature such as auto bridging and built-in DEX, decentralized exchanges, enabling efficient trading and on-chain settlements without the need for complex smart contracts. And as stablecoins become essential infrastructure for the global economy, RLUSD is proving that utility, trust, and innovation can coexist in a single asset on the XRP ledger. So you see this happening for Ripple. You also see they were here on Tuesday at the Dubai FinTech Summit, which I attended, and it was graceful. I saw myself, Monica Long, in the speech, and I was able to say hello to her after it. And she said, and they met with UAE officials to discuss expanding digital payments infrastructure and accelerating innovation, because they are official partners of the Dubai International Financial Center here in UAE. So this is what Ripple is doing. They are partnered and a lot with a lot of governments all over the world. A lot of corporations are bullish on XRP. It's being used already in a lot of payment rails, from governments to companies settling, doing a lot of settlement layers on the XRP ledger. So all of this is bullish for XRP. I know XRP gets a lot of hate because of its prior times and how centralized nature the company and Ripple as itself is controlling XRP, but that's not why we're here. We are here as traders so that us will take advantage of the volatility that exists with this space. So with that, looking at XRP, there's a lot of upside coming within XRP as a cryptocurrency. And looking at what is happening on the stats, you can see it has gained 21% in just 1 week, crossing 150 billion in market cap. It is now number 3 on the top crypto tokens in the world. Guys, XRP is bullish. Anyways, we move ahead and we look at our last chart for today, which is the godfather of all of them, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin USD perpetuals on the Hashedge platform. And you can see, like I said, and like XRP chart is doing, and we can see also happening on Dogecoin. Prior to this video, I checked Ethereum pretty much doing the same thing. Solana pretty much doing the same thing. Sui also doing the same thing. Everything is moving sideways movement. Everything is consolidating. So not much to report on this chart because we have really been reporting this. We are just range bound between the $100,000 levels and the $105,000 levels. So we still seem to be stuck within this range. Of course, you can be trading within that range, but it's very, very difficult, and you have to be very, very skilled to be able to pull that off. And of course, that is on the lower time frames, and you don't want to get choppy because it's easy to lose money in those kind of time frames. But it's better to look at it from a higher time frames, something like one day chart, which we are looking at right now. And what is it telling us? Looking at the RSI, we seem to be pointing downwards. So we are expecting a further move to reclaim the support of about $100,000, $99,000 level. Once we do that, then at that point, we'll be looking at what the price action is telling us and what it's going to do in the near time. So until that, we'll continue to look at the chart, looking at the volume. We look to be lackluster. So we'll be looking at what the price is telling us and what it is telling us to do at the moment. And right now, what is this chart telling us to do at this moment? It's just telling us to sit, wait and see. Sit on our hands and just build our position, build our convictions, and we wait for what the price is going to do next. So we look forward to all the different economic data, all the geopolitical tensions that are hopefully going to subside, and all of that in the near term. And that will give us a bullish confirmation and a bullish conviction into what the price is going to be doing. Of course, we can make money with the volatility. Sometimes as traders, not every time we should trade because we don't want to overtrade ourselves also. So sometimes it's also good to let the price come to us. We build our conviction, wait for the price to come to us. That's when we'll take a very, very bullish, and even while doing that, we are hedging our risk. And at the end of the day, a trader is a risk manager. So sometimes it's not always good to always trade because you are managing risk. Right now, what is it telling us? That we should wait and see. We should take a wait and see approach and watch the market, what the market is doing, and the market will tell us what to do. Anyways, that's the video for today. My name is OP, a prop trader from Marshall. Like I said, I am here on this video every day to show you and to make you aware of the cryptocurrency market space, make you a smart and better trader, and to make money and not lose money. From zero to Ferrari. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.